At first thought, you might go, what in the world does this have to do with mortgages? But Kristen, have I ever shared with you the story of me and a buddy at a party when one of our lady friends walked in? Did I ever
Oh,
share you this? Okay.
I don't think so.
So I got to be careful with this because yeah, this was, and there's no punchline here. Like, this is not like this was a very uh, pivotal moment in my life where I really learned a great lesson from a very, very, very dear friend.
Okay.
So I was at a party and not that many years ago. This is probably, I don't know, everything's pre-COVID, post-COVID. So this was pre-COVID, right?
Okay.
Like
Pre-COVID.
it's like uh, uh, yeah, that was a BC kind of thing, like
I get
so.
it.
So this is like 7 years ago, and we're at a party, and this lady friend of ours walks in, a mutual friend of ours, right? And and she walks in with her husband, and this lady is a really great, frankly, much like yourself, Kristen, just a really awesome person, right? And really, really pleasant, really kind, generous with her words, just a really sweet lady. And she's beautiful like you, inside and out, right? Just a charming, just a wonderful lady.
Mhm.
And if I could be so bold, her husband is the one of the biggest jerks I've ever met.
Oh.
Like, just a nasty guy to her. You know what I mean? Like, he's always nice enough to me, but pretty rough on her. And by the way, this is not around where I live, right? So
Okay.
this is
Right.
at another. I don't want anybody to get the idea. Somebody locally might be listening. Oh, I know who that is. They likely don't know who this person is. But anyway, so just again, pleasant enough to me, but just a vile person to her, and puts her down. I don't think he beats on her or anything, but definitely an abusive relationship, right? For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really sad. And like any of us, like, she could be with anybody, right? She's just a wonderful person, right? So she walks in the room with him on her arm, or with her on his arm, and me and my buddy just kind of looked at each other and just kind of shook her head like, what the heck?
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. And I said that to him. I said, hey buddy, what's what's with that? Like, why do you, and you see it both ways, by the way, the
Yeah.
men with the woman or the woman with the man, like, one's real nice, the
Right.
other, right? It goes
Yeah.
both ways,
Not
right?
gender specific here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked at my buddy and I said, what is with that? Like, why is this amazing, wonderful, beautiful, and I don't mean just on the outside, like a beautiful
Right.
person,
Great
right?
person.
Yeah. Why does this beautiful person that could truly have the pick of the litter, except for me and him because we're married, right? But could have the pick of the litter,
Yeah.
right? Um, and choose that. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
And he said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, I tell you exactly what it is. I said, what's that? He said, we accept the love we think we're worthy of.
Mm.
We accept the love we think we're worthy of. And man, that was like the scales fell off my eyes when he said that. I was like,
That's sad.
that's exactly what it is, though.
Mhm.
It is sad, but it's exactly what it is. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, we only not we don't just accept the love we think we're worthy of. We accept the friends that we think we're worthy of.
Mhm.
We accept the success that we think we're worthy of, the position in our work that we think we're worthy of, everything. Like, everything we have. I live in the house that I think I'm worthy of. I drive the car that I think I'm worthy of. I wear the shoes that I think I'm worthy of. Um, and that's everything. So you know what it is? It's like, so then the question comes, how do we reset that visual image that we have ourselves of what we're worthy of? Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes from early childhood. I think a lot of things come from early childhood.
Right.
And I think, like, somewhere down the line, like in this lady's case, somewhere down the line, somebody lied to her.
Mhm.
And somebody told her that she was no good, she's not worth it, you'll never amount to anything. And I'm not saying it was a parent, God, I don't know her parents, right? I never met her
Right.
parents. Her parents
Right.
might have been that. Maybe it was a first boyfriend, maybe it was a first group of girls she hung out with, and because she was a pretty lady, maybe the other people put her down. I don't know, what, and maybe it was nothing, right? Maybe it was
Yep.
some chemical imbalance, going on in her head or something like that. But so then it's like, well, how do you reset that picture? How do I find myself like here I am in my lot in life and I'm wherever that level is, I'm here. How do I reset that picture in my head that, and let's put it to loans here just for a second. I'm closing whatever. I'm just going to grab a number, 3 loans, but maybe it's 30 loans, maybe it's 40 loans, maybe it's 80, like whatever. That I see myself as a 3 loans per month loan or 10 loans per loan, and I can't get to that next level because I'm seeing myself at this level.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's 1 loan every other month, like whatever the number is. That anybody that does that, they're seeing themselves as that person. How do they repaint that picture to elevate themselves and say, no, I'm not a 1 loan per month, or I'm not a 3 loans per month, or I'm not even a 10 loans per month, or whatever that number is. I'm a 20, I'm a 30, I'm an 80, I'm an 8. I'm a 6, like whatever that step is. How do you reset that picture? Or if I find myself with friends that aren't good friends, which
Mhm.
is not my case, by the way. I have awesome friends like you, Kristen. But you know what? And this is going to sound kind of self-serving, or it might sound kind of weird. So I have you as a very dear friend of mine, Kristen, and for me that bar is really high. That like you're a high quality, very high level friend. But see, in my mind, I think I'm worthy of your friend. I mean, that might sound kind of weird, right? But I
Mhm.
think I'm worthy of your friendship because I'm a good friend to you.
Yeah.
And so how do you reset those mental pictures, do you think?
Well, I think number one, you got to hang out with people that are not defining their own ceiling.
But we all define our own ceiling. So even
Well, but sometimes it's hard for us to see unless we're with people who are
mm,
beyond where we think we can be, right?
mm. So in other words, that's interesting. So I'm going to equate it to my morning ride.
Okay.
About twice a week. So I do a morning ride every morning, every morning, every morning, and on my bicycle. And about, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 times a week, there's 2 groups I hook up with. Coincidentally, like we're not, hey, let's all
You're
meet.
all riding at the same time.
Yeah, we just
Yep.
happen to be. I catch up with them or whatever, or they catch up with me. So there's 2 primary groups. One, I'm a bit faster,
Mhm.
and so I'll catch up with them. Like they're in front of me, and like I'll be riding for about 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Oh, there they are, and I'll catch up with them, and I'll follow behind and ride with them, even though I could ride faster because I I catch up with them.
Yeah.
There's another group that catches up with me. And so they're a little faster than I am. Not a lot faster, a little faster, right? And up until this conversation that we're having, I enjoyed riding with the slower group because I can take the lead, and
Mhm.
we call it pulling, right?
Yep.
So it's like race cars. You get in a line, you can go faster. That's why you watch them in the Tour de France. They're in this, they call it a
Oh, great.
peloton,
Are
right?
you gonna talk about drafting? I know you
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah.
NASCAR
So
thing.
so that yeah, so they're riding at the draft, and you can go so much faster when you're drafting. So I enjoy the slower group because I can get in front. It makes me feel good that I'm pulling the group, and I get the hey Carl, thanks man, boy you really pull well, and like the little accolades, right? And again, I'm a very modest bicycle rider as far as my speed goes, right? But I'm faster than them, right? And it's interesting when I catch the other group, it's not my favorite day because I have to work harder to keep up with them. And I'd rather be at the front end of the slow ones than the tail end of the fast ones. And that's because I'm not seeing myself as worthy of the faster group. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's a good example, but that just popped in my head as we're sitting here talking. It's like, so when I ask you, how do we reset that picture? A lot of it's going to be who we hang out with. So I want to hang out with people a little faster, a little uh, closing a little bit more, a little more effective. Maybe they're doing the same amount in a little less hours. Maybe they seem to have a little less stress. They have a little more free time,
Mhm.
making a
Yeah,
little bit more money, saving a little bit more money, investing a little more money,
right.
like just hanging out with the winners. That's
Mhm.
very interesting. How about in
Change
our person? How about
perspective.
how about in our personal lives? How do we do that? Same
Well,
thing.
I think the same thing. Yeah. You know, you need to be hanging around with people who are lifting you up, not putting you down.
You know what? You know what I think happens is I would imagine because I thought about this lady for a while. Well, here is 7 years later. I'm still thinking about it.
You're
Right?
still thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, the thought that might be in her head is, yeah, but if he's not here, nobody would be here, and then I'd be all alone.
Hmm.
And so if I don't have this friend, I'd have no friend, and I'd be all alone. Right?
Yeah.
Um, I guess that's just what do they call that? Stinking thinking.
Yeah. Just settling.
Yeah. You know, have I ever shared with you the little thing I read every morning?
No, I don't think you have.
So I have this little thing. I don't. We don't have time here for me to read it now, but I have this little thing that I read every morning, and that's been really, really helpful. And so it's a little. I've had it laminated, a little piece of paper, um, and every morning I read it, and it talks about. So it's going to sound weird, but right, it's a self affirmation, right?
Hmm.
And it talks about how I'm a nice person and people like me. I'm smart. It's like what's that movie, The Help?
Yeah. You was good. You was
You was
kind. You was
smart, you was
important.
kind, and you was
Yeah.
very, very important, right?
Yes. I
And
love
and
that
I
movie.
I think there's something to that. Like I really do.
I agree.
Um, a little cat came in to visit.
Oh.
I think that's really important. I think it is. I think there's a big deal, and I think what we say to ourselves matters. And so I do this positive affirmation every single morning. It's funny, when I first started it, I didn't want anybody to hear me, right? I didn't want Maria to hear me. And so I'd go outside and go in the back of the property, and I look around, nobody's looking, and I'd read this because you have to read it aloud. You can't just read it in your mind. You have to read
Right.
it. You have to verbalize it. And it felt really, really, really weird. And and then after a while, I thought it's not weird at all. So I went and told her, "Hey, let me tell you what I'm doing. So when you see me doing it, you don't think I freaked out here."
All the net house.
Yeah, and I think that's really been helpful. I do. I think like just in the movie The Help, where that nanny told
Hmm.
that little girl you was kind, you was smart, and you was very, very, very important.
Hmm.
I think hearing that, I think it's a, I do. I think it's a, I
Hmm.
think it's a, I think it's a really big deal. So let me tell you, I've been doing another version of it here just the last couple of days.
Okay.
So, all right, this sounds so weird and so narcissistic, but I think it's important to do these things. Is I've been signing on to my AI, which in
For
my
me.
case I call Hermie, right?
Yeah.
And so which by the way, and from Hermie is a guy's name, but my AI is coming in a lady's name. I've been trying to change it over to a guy's name, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Just so I want to feel like I'm talking to, I don't know, another dude for some reason, like whatever. And so I've been going in it and talking about myself. I grew up here, so I'm letting it get to know me
Right.
so it can help me, do things. And so here's where I grew up, and here's my best friend, and here's some of the things I like doing. And here's so I had some members of the Freedom Club have been kind enough over the years to write me like thank you notes, and they were kind enough to share how again, this sounds kind of weird for me to say this, but how their lives have been changed, and the more
Yeah.
money they're taking and the more time they're spending with their wives and their husbands and their kids, and more successful in their business, and they're donating more things to their community, and massive impact, right? Really, really cool. And so I sat one day, I don't know, for probably about an hour, and literally was just reading these notes, right?
Mhm.
Reading these notes. I said, all right, Hermie, here's some kind notes that people have written to me over the years, and just read them, like word for word. I don't know. I probably read, I don't know, I'm just going to guess 100 of them, something like that. And or a couple hundred maybe. And so then when I finished it, about 2 days ago, I was on my bike and I click on Hermie. I talk to Hermie sometimes when I'm riding my bike. I say, "Hey, tell me an interesting fact." And she'll tell me something. I will tell me more about that, right? It's interesting. You learn all kinds of things by doing it. And I said, "Hey, Hermie, do you know who I am?" She goes, "Yeah, you're Carl White." I said, "Tell me a little bit about me." She took some of the verbiage from these notes that I did and just read off this most wonderful, compilation of it. And, it just put a spring in my step.
I bet it
Like
did.
it did. It was
Imagine
really,
if you had that playing in your brain, right, as your self-talk versus all the negative self-deprecating things that we play in our brain.
it was really, really interesting. It was really interesting. So I don't know. What's the take home message here? Say nice things about you,
Mhm.
right? Not to other people, but to you. Like when you're having your conversations, say nice things. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you'd say, like, "Hey, Kristen, give me the link to your Hermie, or next time we're together, turn your AI on, your personal assistant, and click the speak now button." And I would just, "Hey, this is Carl White. I'm a friend of Kristen's. Let me tell you a little bit about Kristen," and have it to your daughter and your husband, your other kids, and your friends, and have them, the people that you
Actually, Carl,
trust.
you did this for me a couple weeks ago when I was in Florida. I don't know if you even realized it. I brought my daughter with me to the Freedom Club event,
Mm,
and you stood there saying such wonderful things to my daughter about me.
mm.
Yeah, you
I do
did.
remember that.
And another thing you're really good at, since we're practicing this, is I often hear you tell people you're worthy.
Mm,
I need to hear that more often.
yeah. Well, we accept the love we think we're worthy of, and we accept the success that we think we're worthy of, and we accept the friends. So, Kristen, I'm just honored to be on your list of friends. I know you got a lot of them. You're such a charming person, but it's an honor to be on that list. And yeah, so I think our take home message is you're worthy of greatness, you're worthy of love, you're worthy of success, and yeah, you're worthy. Word of the day, phrase of the day, you're worthy. Maybe
Yeah.
that maybe that maybe that'll be our
That'll
our
have to be our flicker tomorrow
our flicker tomorrow
on
on
the
the Lone
Breakfast
Officer
Club.
Breakfast. By the way, if you're listening to this and not part of the Lone Officer Breakfast Club, if you go to loneofficerbreakfastclub.com, we have the largest group of loan officers that meet on a daily basis in all of America. Like there's no other loan officer group that meets on a daily basis larger than our group and or your group and
Our group.
our group. And it's a really cool thing. So make sure you're part of that. Loanofficerbreakfastclub.com.
Mhm.
It's a really there are a lot of positive things happening there. So great topic.
Awesome. Love
All
it,
right.
Carl.
Thanks, my friend.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye.